Hey YouTube, it is dinner time and I'm continuing start of the healthy week with stir-fried tofu, very lightly fried broccoli. I didn't want to do too much to the broccoli because I just wanted that there for the vegetables and the crunch, so I didn't even fry it too much. I wanted it to retain its crunch, and some of the jasmine rice that I boiled earlier. So I'm going to share with you something that has really infuriated me today. It's to do with men again. It's always them that infuriate me, but first let me eat. Tofu. That is so good. I love jasmine rice. I could eat that on its own. In fact, you guys have seen me eat it on its own. So good. Oh, I put soy sauce and fish sauce in there. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know if I've told you guys about professional men coming over to my flat to do work and they end up chatting me up. And it really infuriates me because I feel like it's a violation of my security and privacy. So, do you remember a few days ago, or maybe last week, I was clearing out one of my cupboard spaces in the kitchen? In hopes to find space for a freezer. And an electrician came round to check the wiring. Let me take it back for you. So the first time he came round, he came to check the wiring and everything. I thought he was really friendly, you know, trying to be really helpful with lots of different things. And while he was here last time, in my head I thought, can I trust this guy? Because sometimes I feel like they're being a bit too friendly, but sometimes I'm like, maybe they're just being friendly. Anyway, he goes to use his phone to switch on the torch to see the space behind the cupboard. And as he unlocked his phone, I saw him with what looks like his wife, like a photo in the background. So when I saw that, I thought, great, like, you're a married man, I can trust this guy. Why I think that anyway, I don't know, because what I've experienced in the past tells me otherwise. So anyway, that was that day, and then he left, and then I had some homework to do. I did my homework, and the answer was that it's most likely that I can't use that space for the freezer. So unfortunately, guys, I don't have a freezer space in the kitchen, so I have to maybe be creative with my hallway. Anyway, also, does anyone else like the trunks of the broccoli? Delicious. So I messaged him and I'm like, can't do it there, but there's a different space However, I think it's too small because it's smaller than the width of my under counter fridge that you guys have seen. And he was like, oh, I can come over on Monday and check out that space. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that'd be really great. So today is Monday. And then he messages me earlier on and he's like, oh, I'm in between some jobs right now. I can pop over if you're free. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So he comes over. And now that I'm thinking about it, actually, he didn't really measure that space at all. He didn't measure that space. Yeah, he didn't even measure that new space. He comes around, he looks at the other space again. And then, yeah, I don't know how, like, that other space wasn't spoken about. Then he started looking at different options. So he was, like, standing in my hallway. And he was like, oh, like, what are your thoughts now? I'm like, I'm going to have to think of a different space to put it. And I'm like, maybe it can go here, in this hallway. And then he's like, yeah, you could put it here. In my head, I was thinking, like, literally, I was thinking, you can go now because you've given me the answer. Like, I don't need him to help me with the next part. But he was still there. So I kind of had started to feel like, a bit on edge. So then, and then he was like looking in my bedroom and he's like, oh, how far down does your bedroom go? And the room door was open, so he can clearly see how far down it went. I'm like, just down there. And he's like, okay. I'm like, I'm not going to put it in there. I'm like, he peered through the door to look at my bedroom. And then he was like, oh, what about behind here? Like, and he was looking at the gap behind the living room door. And then he proceeded to go into my living room and opening the door, like the back of it, to look at the space. And at that point, I thought, you're getting a bit too comfy in this area. Like, what? He was standing in my hallway, I was standing in my hallway, and I was like, quite literally, like, you know, why don't you leave now? Because I'm not somebody that likes making small talk either. I know some people are really social and like talking to new people and whatever, but I'm not like that. I find it really awkward. So I'm thinking, like, you can leave now, like, I have nothing else to say. And then he started asking me, oh, so what do you do? And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, there's a bit of interest there. Because I've experienced this before with the guy that came round to build my wardrobe and the guy that came round to plug a new Wi-Fi router in. I think I told you about those stories, right? Did I not? Have I told you those stories? Let me know. I'm like, oh, I'm a food influencer. And I was like, that's why I need a freezer. And then he was like, oh, okay, do you study for that? I'm like, no, you don't study for that. And then he proceeded to telling me what he used to do and what he does now. And I'm thinking, I didn't ask you what you do. Like, you're now carrying the conversation for both you and I. So anyways, I'm like, okay, making as minimal effort. I know how to carry a conversation because it takes like mental energy too. And I know when I'm purposefully not carrying a conversation, and that's when men are speaking to me and I don't want to speak back to them. So I'm not asking any questions and I'm being very short with my responses. Like, oh, okay. So I think he got the kind of hint and he was like, okay, well, when you're ready for any help or, you know, for any other reasons, let me know and I'll come round. And I kind of knew what he was insinuating, like, oh, you know, if you want me to come around anytime, like, he'll come round. And I gave him no response to that. I'm like, okay, see ya. That was that. And then literally, I think about half an hour later, he texts me, just gonna screenshot and put the message here. When I read that, I just was infuriated. I don't know why, but I just immediately get so angry when professional services men have come into my flat meant to provide me a professional service, but have in the end called or texted my number to shoot their shot. I don't know why. Like, I don't find it flattering. I don't find it anything. I find it like infuriating. I was so angry. I haven't messaged back or anything like that. I'm just gonna block the number. But yeah, it makes me feel violated. Like, you specifically went around my rooms and went in my cupboard drawers. I don't know. I just find it so infuriating, and it's happened like nearly with every professional serviceman that's come to my flat. I don't know. I don't appreciate it, guys. Anyway, I'm sorry for ranting, but I hope you had a lovely dinner. It's 6:45 right now. That was my second healthy meal of British Healthy Eating Week. I have snacked on pistachios. I'm on the sofa. And I think if I'm a bit peckish later, I might have a yogurt. I'm not sure. I hope you had a good day and will treat yourself to something nice to eat for dinner. And I will speak to you maybe later, but it's 6:45 now. And I'm trying to be healthy, so I don't want to do anything unhealthy. But I'll speak to you tomorrow for breakfast. Peace.